Hey, what is going on, guys? We're doing a quick little video today about the iDrive unit. I've got Julie with me. She's holding the camera.
Hi.
Do you want to show yourself?
No.
All right. So you guys have seen the iDrive unit. I've posted it on my Instagram a few times. So I want to talk about it, explain what it does, and kind of to decide if it's something that you want to do to your car, and some of the pros and cons of it. So yeah, I'll give you my experience and let's get started. Roll up the window, let it get warmed up for a second. So the install of the iDrive is fairly simple. When it shows up, it comes in a smaller box the size of an iPhone case. You unbox it, comes with this unit and this cable that runs all the way to the top of your throttle connector. So I'm going to show you guys where that is. We're gonna get out of the car at one point. I'm going to show you where it installs, but it's literally one cable, and that's it. It's a fairly simple install. All right, so after you install the iDrive unit, you've got a few options. The iDrive has an economy mode. It has an automatic controller mode, which is what I'm running right now. If you kind of look at the unit, this is where I temporarily mounted it so I can see it. AC means automatic controller. So based on the amount of throttle input you give it, it adjusts how sensitive your pedal is. So think about it this way. When you drive your car, and when you change it from sport to track mode, you notice that slight shift in how much throttle input you give it and how much the car responds, right? Like that's a very simplistic way of thinking about this unit, which is basically what it is, but it gives you additional modes. So the way it works is on the auto control mode, it allows you to give it any type of throttle input you want it. If it's a slight amount, it doesn't change much. If you give it more throttle, it changes the sensitivity of the actual unit. All right, so we're going to merge over here in automatic mode, and I'm going to kind of give you guys an idea. So that throttle input right there in automatic mode, I was giving it about medium throttle, but it felt like more than medium throttle. But I was still able to control it, and it just felt really, really good. So a lot of people, whether you're in a 3-valve or in a Coyote car, you remember when you first got your tune, you were like, wow, you know, that throttle response changed completely. It was a lot more aggressive, but it felt really good and a lot more responsive. So when it comes to things like rev matching, like when I rev match down, it requires less throttle input for me to get into the right gear. Automatic mode, you'll probably like that the most, but you can also go into the actual unit and adjust. So that's off completely. That's economy mode. You can see where it says E. And then you got the U mode. So the user modes, it goes all the way from, I believe, 0 to 9. When you go from U1, I was set to U3 because that's kind of the right spot for me. U3 gives me the amount of throttle response that I want without being too overly drastic. A lot of guys that don't have a tune would probably like a higher user level setting, almost like all the way up to U9. U9 is basically a really twitchy throttle response. So when you give it any least bit amount of gas, it actually gives you a lot more than you input. Some people like that. I'm not a huge fan of it on my car because my throttle is pretty dialed in, but U3 gives me a little bit more. There's a cop over there, so I'm going to be really light on the throttle. So the drivability hasn't really changed much at all. I can drive it normal. Throttle raises completely, like it's fine. It rises normal. There's no twitchiness. There's no jerkiness. That's why when we bump it up, you can kind of hear the throttle difference when I'm starting to bump it up. All the way up to U9. So what I did there was I held my foot on the throttle at the specific point I wanted it. Every U point that I raise it, it was giving the car more throttle input. So when you get the device, you want to kind of drive it and see what you like the most. You might not like U9, but U3 might not be enough for you. Every car is different. So some of the questions that I was getting on Instagram commonly was saying, hey, you know, will this work with cars that are tuned? Yes, it will, just because my car is tuned. I have Lund Racing. I have a cam tune on the car right now. So the cam tune typically is a little more, I guess, rusty around driving around, like as far as drivability goes. But mine's been dialed in pretty good. Lund actually revised my cam tune, so there's really not a lot of issues with mine. So you can use it on a tuned car. It's not going to change your tune. The thing is, you need to be cautious as far as how much you change your throttle input, because I would highly recommend starting at a lower setting and then working your way up and finding that right point that you like. U9 is a really good, it's a really crazy setting, but I wouldn't recommend it for everybody, especially if you're in stop and go traffic. And now the great thing about iDrive for a lot of people is if you're completely bone stock, right, and you want a little bit better throttle response, buying this and installing it on your car, it's not going to change your stock tune. It's not, I mean, unless you leave it in. It takes 5 minutes to take out, and nobody's going to ever be able to tell that you had it installed on your car. There's nothing that's being written to your PCM. There's nothing that's being written to any computer on board where it can be detected. So that's a really good point for this device, is if you have a stock car and you want to retain your warranty and you want to just be careful if you don't have dealers that, you know, are more mod friendly, it takes 5 minutes to install, 5 minutes to deinstall, and then you're back to stock. There's no reflashing of anything that's involved. So I'm going to go back to AC, which is an automatic controller mode. I'm going to turn around, make a U-E. I don't think I ever matted it to the ground, and that was maybe about 50% throttle. It really, on the butt dyno, it kind of just truly makes you feel like you gained 100 horsepower on the butt dyno. It's not going to give you any extra horsepower, so the device never claims to give you horsepower. It's not snake oil, like it's not something that you're just gonna, you know, like those old school chips of the day where they say claim, you know, it's gonna give you 30 horsepower if you install this. That's not what this device is for. It's just going to give you better throttle response, and it basically, it comes down to, it gives you the throttle response that you would get in an aftermarket tune, but it also gives you the option to turn it up a little bit more. So the next part of the video, I'm going to show you kind of where the wire goes and where it installs, at least on the S550s, and it's probably a very similar experience for the install on the S197s as well. So we'll be right back. We are back. So let me show you where you install the actual device. So if we come down here on the top of your pedal, right up there, if you look and see where there's a connector that connects to your gas pedal, you undo that connection under there, that clip. Let me see if I can focus it. Right there. So I'm going to try to center that. So it goes on top of your stock connector, and then your stock connector plugs in on top of that. And then it's just one cable that routes outside here, and I have it running above my steering column. And that's it. That's all you have to do. And then you can go ahead and mess around with the settings and see what settings are best for you. So that's pretty much it for kind of the quick little overview for how the iDrive unit works. I mean, it's a fairly simple device, but it does so much to the driving experience for your car. This isn't a substitute for tuning. This isn't a substitute, you know, for getting more power. This basically kind of adds to your driving experience. The price, I think, right now for the unit is $230. That's with shipping. I do have a free shipping code, I believe, that you can use. I believe it's either Nemesis and Azura or just one of our names. I'll have to double check and post that. It'll be on my main profile on Instagram. So just go ahead, look on my Instagram, you'll get the actual free shipping code. But definitely check it out, and then once you do, let me know your thoughts. Shoot me a message, and I'll repost it on my profile. So take it easy, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye.